not seeing it on the Dare Me page. Oh, there we are. All right, cool. And I just saw it come through on the YouTube page. Cool. We are live on the Facebook page. Okay, you ready to do this, Dean?
Yeah.
I hope this goes smooth. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Okay, and is there a way I can bring the slideshow up, or is that something I need to call on you?
I'll just bring it up and then you can control it from there.
Okay, so when I'm ready to do, because we're going to be going back and forth with it a lot, so I'll just call on it. All right, bro. Have a good show. Here we go. On average, just in the United States, about 220 people die every single day from an opiate overdose. By the time we finish this show, 8 to 10 people are going to die from an opiate overdose. If we get even one person, one viewer with this program that we might be able to help with some of the information that's shared on here, then it's all worth it. Hey everyone, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the Dare Me podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Victor. Welcome to the 25th episode of the Dare Me podcast. We can hardly believe that we're already up to episode 25. Very excited about tonight's show. It's going to be jam-packed, full of cool slides, video clips, all the things. Of course, we're going to talk about opioid news coming up a little bit later. We've got some music news. We've got some funny memes. It's going to be a real fun show, but we're going to keep it moving. Believe it or not, we have 64 slides and 24 video clips that we're going to be showing. So this show is going to move along quick. With all that said, we want to bring in our rock star producer and co-host, Dean Baker, who's standing by live in Orlando, Florida. There he is. Dean, welcome to the show. Episode 25. Can you believe it?
The silver anniversary? Yeah.
The silver anniversary of the show. I know it's like crazy. I can hardly believe it. You know, when we started this show, I committed to doing one full year, and I figured 50 episodes because there's 52 weeks in a year. I'd take a couple weeks off for, you know, time off, vacation, whatever. So that means after today's show, we are halfway there. Next week, it'll be 6 months exactly that we started the program. And, of course, today is episode 25. And I was thinking earlier today, bro, after we get that 50th episode in the can, we got to take a break for a little bit. We talked about taking a break and then maybe doing shorter seasons of the show if we continue on with it. And all indications are that we will, based on all the great feedback we've got. Want to say hello to all our viewers, our listeners. You're welcome to chime in the chat room. We're going to really keep it moving along today, though, folks. And Dean, I just want to thank you again for all your hard work on the show because, like I just said, we got a lot of slides and video clips. I worked hard on putting this program together. It came to mind. I was thinking to myself, boy, oh boy, I sure have become a storyteller. And tonight, definitely going to be telling some stories. So, anyway, with all that said, y'all, if you've been following along with a lot of our promos and reels for this edition of the show, and if you're a regular viewer, listener of the podcast, you know I spent a week in my hometown of Detroit City last week, and boy, oh boy, did I have a great time and packed a lot of things into that trip, and that's what this show is going to be all about tonight. We're going to talk about a couple other things. We got a special shout out to an old friend in Orlando we're going to talk about near the end of the program. We got some music news we're going to talk about and things to that nature, but again, this is really going to be a big recap of my trip to Detroit last week. Before we get into all that, though, I always like to recap what the purpose of this show is, by the way, folks. And it's all about trying to help people who may be struggling with substance abuse disorder or an addiction. Specifically for me, it was opioid pain medication this last time around. I've had a long struggle with addiction my whole life. And, you know, I've spent long periods of time where I lived completely clean and sober. And then I had a couple bad relapses. And this last one, I broke my ankle skating. And I had two surgeries. The first one, they put 3 pins in my ankle to hold it all together. And the second surgery, they took 2 of them out. One of them's still in there permanently. And if you haven't figured out where I'm going with this yet, if you haven't heard my story before, they prescribed me with opioid pain medication. And I took it, and it worked until it didn't anymore. And I got hooked and went on a 9-year run with opioid pain medication, and it didn't end pretty. Thank God, I'm so happy to be able to say that as of a week from tomorrow, I will have exactly 2.5 years completely clean from any opiates in this body, living drug free. And so, our hope with this program is that someone may come across it who is looking for a way out of that madness and looking to live their life clean, and that we might be an inspiration to them. Again, as I mentioned, this is episode 25, so if you're new to the show, highly encourage you to go back and look and look at and listen to some of our previous episodes. I tell my full story in detail. We have lots of great guests. We talk about all the things that our name Dare Me stands for: drugs, addiction, recovery, enlightenment, music, exercise, all those things, and how they play into trying to get clean and live clean and sober. And thanks, Dean, for putting those hashtags up at the top of the screen. So that's the Reader's Digest version of my story. Again, y'all, we got a lot to get to on this show, so I didn't want to go into too much detail about it. But again, if you're new to the program and you were looking for information online like I was when I was trying to kick dope and get clean, I was Googling things, looking for stuff on YouTube, and I came across some things that are out there. There's good stuff out there, but there's nothing like what we've been doing with this show. And so if you're new and you found us in your search for information about how to get off of opiates, how to kick dope, hang with us. We think you'll enjoy the show. And again, our hope is that we might be able to inspire and help even one person to get off of that stuff and get on with their life. So with all that said, y'all, I'm wearing my Detroit shirt. It's the only shirt I have from, living in Detroit. And so, yeah, I'm showing off my ink today, y'all, because it's a tank. And so, that's why I'm wearing this shirt, because we are recapping my trip to Detroit City. So, with all that said, first of all, want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to our guests from last week. We went live from Detroit City at the Rare Hearted Music Studios in Detroit. And I want to send a shout out to those guys. If we can bring up the photo, there we are, of them guys. That's Ramos and Kyle and Bang. And of course, we also want to send a shout out to the other guy in the group as well. God, I'm trying to remember his name. It's off the top of my head. I can't remember it. But they do have one other guy in the group. He had a previous commitment, so he couldn't be there last week. But yeah, took a couple of photos with those guys. There they are, Rare Hearted. If you haven't, go back and watch and listen to last week's podcast. And man, we played some clips of their music. These guys are all young guys, early 20s, fresh off the streets of Detroit City. Such a talented group of musicians and artists. And man, they're going hard at it. I mean, in fact, just this past week, since we did the show last week, that boy Bang put out 2 new songs. And he told us he was going to do it when we talked to him last week. He put out In the Rain and Do It. And then Kyle put out one called Starfall. So we want to say congratulations to them guys for everything they're doing, and want to thank them again for being on our show last week and participating in the Dare Me podcast. Highly encourage you to go check their stuff out, y'all. Rare Hearted Music. You can catch them on YouTube. They're on SoundCloud. They're on Spotify. All the things. They do stuff together as a group, as well as individual stuff, like I just mentioned, that Bang and Kyle put out just this past week. And so anyway, moving right along, y'all, we want to talk a little bit more about my visit to Detroit last week. And I was there to attend my nephew Jason and his beautiful wife Chantel's wedding, and there's some photos from that. I just thought I'd show y'all. I was so happy to go, and my dates were my 2 beautiful daughters, Alyssa and Owana. Their husbands couldn't make it, so I was able to have both of them accompany me to the event, and it was just so much fun. We had such a great time. And Jason and I have always been close. I posted these pics on social media. There we are up in that upper corner there. When he was just a little guy, we used to call him JJ. And you can see some pictures of him and I through the years. And Jason is a professional hockey player, and he was a professional hockey player for 20 years. He's doing some coaching now with some kids. He played in Slovakia, where he won the cup. You can see the picture there. And that's where he met his beautiful wife, Chantel. And so I got to tell y'all, on this edition of the show, man, I'm going to be name dropping like a motherfucker. You know, if you're a regular of this show, you know I have no qualms about name dropping. I ain't that proud. And I am so proud of my nephew, Jason, and his story. He played, this is like a dream come true, y'all. I'm about to show you a video here of Jason playing hockey. He's a goalie for the St. Louis Blues. And he played against his hometown team, favorite team, the Detroit Red Wings, a couple of times. When he was starting for the Blues, he got called up, and he played a game in St. Louis against the Detroit Red Wings, and he lost, like literally at the very end of the game. It was so friggin' heartbreaking. But man, talk about a comeback story, you know. Oh, it's so inspiring, you know, that whole fell down 7 times, got up 8 thing, man. He came back and played the Red Wings in Detroit at the old Joe Louis Arena, just, you know, like, I don't know, however many weeks later it was. And he freaking beat him, y'all. He beat him in a shootout. And Dean, you remember, you know, I worked with you on putting this highlight reel together that we're going to show here of Jason winning that game. And I'm just so proud of him, y'all. And this all kind of ties together with my life is just so freaking bizarre the way things turn out. Because this video we're about to show really ties into the rest of the show in this event that I ended up going to with an old buddy of mine, Pete, who we're going to talk about in a minute. But right now, y'all, want to show this highlight reel that Dean and I worked on together, God, I don't know, freaking 10 years ago or whatever it was, of Jason, my nephew, Jason Bekeshua, beating the Detroit Red Wings in his hometown of Detroit City at the old Joe Louis Arena.
Jason Bekeshua gets the starting goal. Garden City's Jason Bekeshua. Well, between Bekeshua and Doug Waite, they had to come up with a lot of tickets for friends and family here tonight. Samuelson, he's got it again. And Bekeshua stopped that as the Blues at full strength. They stop Bekeshua. Victory as Lidstrom shoots. And Bekeshua who allowed 2 of those goals. Bekeshua got down on that. He's got it now. Goes back to Chelios. Firing one. Bekeshua's got that. Schneider 30 feet out. Bekeshua. Here comes Senator. One-on-one, Senator. Saved by Bekeshua on a good spot. Back of the goal, giving it for the multi, and a save Bekeshua again.
They've gotten within a shot. Youngster Pegasus has played very well.
Able to corral it, fire it, save it down. Holmgren stopped by Pegasus after he stopped Datsuk in the first try. Lidstrom right side, in front, good stop on Senator by Pegasus.
Great work by young Pegasus.
He's from Garden City, where he was born. Up in Dearborn Heights. This is the lane, fires! Save Pegasus, rebound cleared. In for left, out of the air, firing. Save Pegasus. Moved by Redford to the point, tipped in front. Pegasus, stop the rebound, another stop! Four, Lidstrom again a drive. Saved by Pegasus over here as it looks from this angle. Look at this save. Great save by Pegasus. Pegasus tonight as he tries to get a win here in his hometown. Here he is, Bertuzzi. And a save by Pegasus. He must score. Here he comes. And where is it? They might review this one. Well, he's got to move up. It's on the Blues. Blues win 3-2. Pegasus with the victory in his hometown. And was he good today?
Oh my God, I'm almost getting filled up watching that, y'all. So yeah, man, I am so proud of my nephew Jason. And you know, I made some notes, y'all. I'm just looking because I can't remember it all. That game was back in the, I believe it was the 06-07 season. And holy cow, talk about a dream come true, not just for him, but of course for our whole family, you know, and that he won that game. It was just freaking amazing. If you're watching, kiddo, love you to death, man. You know, he always razzes me because when he was younger, I went to some of his practices and would take shots at him. His dad asked me if I'd participate. And, man, I wasn't that great of a hockey player. I played 2 seasons as a younger man, and he even joked around at his wedding that his goalie coach, who taught you that, had to undo it, you know. But anyway, man, what a great guy. Man, I just, like I say, he was drafted by the Dallas Stars back in 2001. And he bounced around the NHL a little bit, played for Colorado, played for the Washington Capitals, then even went over to Philly. Of course, as you just saw, played a couple of years in St. Louis, had 38 NHL games that he appeared in and some preseason stuff, and then went overseas and played overseas in Germany, Slovakia, where he met the beautiful Chantel you see in the picture there. He played in Seoul, South Korea, Krakow in Poland. He played in North Italy and Hungary and Manchester in the UK. Man, what a life. I just tell you, man, I just love that kid so much. So anyway, yeah, I'm really proud, obviously, of my nephew Jason, and so happy I got to go to his wedding when I was visiting Detroit last week and be there. We had such a good time. And so this, like I said, all kind of ties into how this show came together. It's just so bizarre. If you recall last week, we had someone chime in on the show in the chat room. And there he is, an old friend of mine, Pete Falk, who actually was communicating with today. Pete and I, dating ourselves here, go back a long way. Oh, and I see John Bacashua, John's dad, and I think my sister Carol, his mom, just chimed in the chat room too. Love it. Yeah, I thought y'all might like that. I was a little surprised. But anyway, yep, there's me and Pete Falk. We go all the way back to junior freaking high school. And high school, we were best friends in junior high, buddies all through high school. I didn't remember. I asked Pete how long it had been since we seen each other, and he had to tell me it was 38 years. Holy cow. I'm 61, y'all, and so Pete's got to be the same age as I. Anyway, it's so bizarre that Pete joined our show for the very first time last week, and actually it was the week before, beg your pardon, and let me know about this event that was going on in Detroit last week. So Pete joined the show 2 weeks ago, and we communicated for the first time in 38 years, and he, could hear me talking on the show that I was going to be in Detroit the following weekend for Jason's wedding. And oh, look, Pete just chimed in the chat. Yo, I'm here with my family. Hey, shout out to Pete and his family. Thanks for watching, y'all. So anyway, when Pete told me about this event for the Jamie Daniels Foundation that was going on to benefit those with substance abuse disorder, the Jamie Daniels Foundation, I have to confess, y'all, I knew nothing about it. And, I've been living clean and sober again for 2.5 years, struggled with a horrible opiate addiction. But I live out here in California now, and I lived in Orlando before that. So, I'm just saying, I didn't know anything about the foundation. And so Pete told me about this event going on, and man, it came together. We had to go to this event together. It just seemed like it was meant to be. And in case you didn't know, Ken Daniels, who founded the Jamie Daniels Foundation, has been the play-by-play announcer for the Detroit Red Wings, who we just saw my nephew Jason beat. Had to sneak that in there. I'm wearing my Wings shirt, though. I'm still a huge Detroit Red Wings fan. Always have been, always will be. Anyway, Ken Daniels is the play-by-play announcer for the Red Wings, and unfortunately, man, parents' worst nightmare, his young son, Jamie, passed away. And there's Pete and I, by the way, at the banquet for the event we went to. And this, again, is information on the event that Pete told me about for the Jamie Daniels Foundation. And there's Ken with his beautiful son, Jamie. It's just so heartbreaking. What a good-looking kid. I should say handsome young man. And unfortunately passed away back in December of 2016 from an overdose. He got a hold of some bad pills, y'all, and they were laced with heroin and fentanyl, and he overdosed and died. Ken and his beautiful wife and his daughter have been very open about, their son and brother's story, and formed this foundation for this event that Pete and I went to. And Jamie was struggling with addiction for a little while, and his story is all documented on the Jamie Daniels Foundation website. I highly encourage you to go read it if this is something of interest to you. It's very interesting what happened with him in the treatment industry. And he was really working hard toward getting his life back on track. And then, as I mentioned, he ended up getting a hold of some bad pills and dying. And Ken ended up with his wife and daughter turning a horrible, horrible tragedy into something positive and formed the Jamie Daniels Foundation. And so when Pete and I attended the event, of course, we got to meet Ken. And there's a couple of pictures of him and I together. Pete was, you rock, bro. Pete was being a great photographer, videographer, as you'll see as we continue on with, today's show. But there's Mr. Daniels, and they were so nice to me, y'all. Everyone there, as you're going to see, was just so nice to me and to Pete. And, God, man, what a great guy. And we met some other people there as well that we're going to talk about in a little bit. The roast was for Nicholas Lidstrom and also for Thomas Holstrom, a couple of the Detroit Red Wing hockey players. But before we get into that, y'all, let's go ahead and play this next video of the reception that Pete and I attended, just to give you an idea of what a great event that it was. So here's a short video of the event. All right, y'all, we out here, and I just thought I'd get a little footage of this cocktail hour and meet and greet here at the Jamie Daniels Foundation Roast and Toast fundraiser for the foundation. We have met some pretty cool people. There's Thomas Holdstrom, Nick Lidstrom right over there. Got some pictures. Mickey Redmond's over there. We're going to go meet with him in a second. Got to meet Ken Daniels, Jamie's dad. He's here. They got all the cool trophies out here. They got, the Conn Smythe trophy, NHL MVP trophy, best defense, best goaltender. There's Chris Draper right there. Got to meet with him. So, yeah, man. We out here, and what a great cause. So, yeah, we're going to talk about it on the podcast tomorrow and again next week. Right now, we're getting ready for the dinner and then the roast and toast coming up in a little bit. Go check out the Jamie Daniels Foundation online. And holler at y'all soon. Peace. Bye. All right, y'all. So, that gave you a good, idea of what type of an event it was. And, of course, the pictures that you just saw up there was with one of the guys that was being roasted there, Thomas Holstrom. And then, of course, Nick Lidstrom was being roasted as well. And those guys are legends in Detroit, man. I mean, Holstrom won 4 Stanley Cups with the Detroit Red Wings. And also Nick Lidstrom. Let's bring those photos back up, Dean. Nick Lidstrom also won 4 cups with. So there I am, and there we are. There's Pete as well with both Holstrom and Lidstrom. I mean, again, these guys are legends, man. Spending like 20 seasons. And by the way, they were from Sweden. And came over to play for the Wings. And man, oh man, I mean, just they're like legends. And Nick Lidstrom has a nickname of the perfect human. And so they were just so nice, man. I mean, I just can't say enough about this event. And what a great time it was. There we are with Chris Draper, who also is a legend in Detroit Red Wing hockey. He's currently the assistant GM and works together with Steve Yzerman, Izzy, and him trying to bring that cup back to Detroit City. Draper played in the NHL 20 years, 17 of them with the Red Wings. And by the way, I'm so glad Pete was with me because I know all these guys, but if Pete recognized them. It would have been hard for me to recognize some of them. I'm sure I would have seen their face and go, man, he looks familiar or whatever, but Pete knew exactly who they were. Definitely a big hockey fan. So anyway, let's go ahead and we're gonna look at. Oh, and wait, there's Mickey Redmond. Gotta show this one because Mickey Redmond, of course, a legend in Detroit hockey. And Pete reminded me actually at the event. I knew this, but he reminded me of it that he was the first 50 goal scorer for the Detroit Red Wings when I was a kid. He played, and I actually looked up, the Wikipedia on him, and that was in 72, 73. So I would have been like 10, 11 years old. And I was playing hockey then, and yeah, he scored 52 goals that season. And Pete and I both got to meet him, and what a nice man, and in great shape, for an older guy, man. He was just so cool to us. We were so happy to meet him. And then, anyway, let's watch this next video, y'all, because they also had an auction with some really cool stuff. And I just thought we'd go ahead and show this video to give you an idea of some of the cool stuff they had. And then we'll do some more name dropping and show you some other cool pics. Check this out. All right, y'all. So we out here again. Just had some footage of in the room in there. Here we are out here where all the silent auction items are. People mingling. It is going on, and they got some cool stuff that we may or may not bid on. We'll see. Let's go down here a little ways. Oh, there's more stuff over here. Got a Mickey jersey. All kinds of cool stuff. Sticks, cups, hats, caps.
Well, my girlfriend. I just told me this.
Definitely lots of cool things that people can bid on for such a great cause. So anyway, just thought I'd share a little bit of this with y'all. So, oh look, they got a step and repeat banner. I'm gonna have to get my boy Pete to come out here with me. So we can maybe get a photo in front of that. All right, there it is. And we did. We did get out there in front of that step and repeat banner and got some photos. So anyway, I just thought I'd show y'all that because, again, if maybe you're joining our podcast a little bit late and wondering what in the hell is all this stuff going on, showing hockey stuff and all, because it was a fundraiser for the Jamie Daniels Foundation to help combat substance abuse disorder. And they really gear their efforts toward the youth as well. They talked at the event about a study that shows, like 90% of the people that develop a substance abuse disorder, an addiction, or OD in their adult life started using as a youth, as a kid under 18 years old. So, yeah, man, it's such a great organization. And again, we met some other really, really cool people there, including Chris Osgood, famous goalie for the Detroit Red Wings, y'all. Ozzy, as he's known as. Pete, again, taking some cool pictures. There's Chris Osgood and Chris Draper together, and there I am talking to Chris Osgood. And there's some other pictures of him with Pete and I. He was so nice to us, y'all. I can't say enough about how nice he was to us. And Stanley Cup winner. And Chris Osgood actually did some training with my nephew Jason, who I talked about earlier in the podcast and showed that highlight reel of. They trained together with the goalie coach, this guy Stan. And so, anyway, this is where it all kind of ties together. It's so friggin' bizarre because I had no idea this event was going on literally the day after my nephew Jason got married. And I'm bumping into all these hockey players at this event, and a few of who knew Jason. So I mentioned to Ozzy that Jay got married the day before, and he wanted to send out a shout out to Jay and Chantel on their wedding. And so Pete took a video of me, talking to him, and then he actually sends a shout out. So let's go ahead and take a look and a listen to those. So yeah, that was just a short clip, y'all, but just wanted to show that. And then here he is sending a shout out to Jay.
Jason, congrats on the marriage. Congratulations on the wedding. Good to have you back here. Here you're in Northville somewhere. Hey, look me up if you want to coach them young guys at Little Caesars 12s. Hey, good to hear from you again. Let's connect sometime.
All right. Hey, Ozzy!
All right, y'all. Now, I'm sure some of y'all are thinking, man, this guy, he's just like name dropping all over the place. But and of course I am. I had such a great time. I also want to put this out there, y'all, that one of the reasons I thought it'd be really cool to do this in-depth deep dive into that event is because it is a fundraiser. And they've done this thing annually now. I think this was the 5th year. And so next year when they do it, I just wanted to show all of our viewers and for our listeners too, how cool of an event it was, how approachable the guys are that are there. And it really wasn't that expensive at all, y'all. I mean, in the big picture, I know $300 is a lot of money for some people, a few $100. But I think to myself, man, when I was using dope, if something came through, I'd drop a few grand in a New York second to stock up and not even think twice about it, And so for, me to go out and drop a few $100 to go to an event that literally helps save people's lives that are suffering from the same bullshit I was, it was like a no-brainer. And you could actually even get tickets for $125 just to go to the roast, which was hilarious and a great event. But, we wanted to go to the whole banquet and meet and greet and all, y'all. So, again, that's part of the reason I wanted to show this whole thing is so when they come up, with this event again next year, hopefully you'd give it some thought to go, first of all, to help such a great cause, and also to have an opportunity to meet some of these Detroit hockey legends. And it wasn't just hockey players there, y'all. As you're going to see in a moment, there were some really other cool people there that we got a chance to meet. So anyway, shout out Osgood. Ozzy, it was so cool to meet you. If you see this, bro, we appreciate you being so nice to us. And now I also wanted to show some of these because another great reason to go to this event, especially if you're a hockey fan, they had all these cool trophies on display. Now, they did not have the Stanley Cup. That's one that would have been cool, but they had all these other cool trophies. And it was so great to go with my friend Pete because he truly is a hockey fan. And you can see that, they've got the season champ trophy there, the playoff MVP trophy, the top goaltender trophy, the Conn Smythe trophy that I'm standing next to there. And I just thought that, I'd show those photos as well. So now I do want to go to this next slide because once we made our way into the banquet room, y'all, the MC for the evening was another legend. And if you're a hockey fan, you know that this is Mike Doc Emmerich. And oh my God, Oh my God, y'all! It was so cool meeting this guy. Oh, hey, Alexis is chiming in. She says, "Hey, Uncle Glenn, love you too, sweetheart. It was so nice to see you when I was visiting Detroit, and of course your brother Jay and your sister Alina. I posted some pics of them on my social media, y'all. If you want to go check them out, such cuties. Anyway, love you, sweetheart. So yeah, we were in the banquet room, and Doc was the MC. Now he just recently retired, although he's still doing some stuff. But if you don't know, the dude truly is a legend. He called over 3,700 NHL hockey games. He called the Stanley Cup 22 times. I took some notes, y'all. And called 6 Olympics as well. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame, NHL Hockey Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. And he literally earned his doctorate at Bowling Green University in broadcasting. And the dude truly is a legend, and he was so nice to us. And of course, having a career in radio and television, the dude was like really cool for me to meet. And so that picture on the left, he was up on the stage after the roast, and I didn't know if I was going to get to meet him in person. So I called out. I said, "Hey, Doc, can I get a picture with you?" He said, "Yeah, come on, man." And he walked over to the edge of the stage and knelt down. And but then the one on the right, you can see we saw him in the hallway after. And so I went up to him again. I said, "Hey, Doc, do you mind if I get a little better picture with you?" He said, "Yeah, let's do it." So, man, I got to tell you, I was probably more starstruck meeting Doc than I was even some of the players, coming from broadcasting. The dude truly is a legend. And thank you so much, Doc. He was so nice to us. And then in the banquet, y'all, we met Miriam Illich. And if you don't know who Miriam Illich is, you ought to, especially if you're a Detroiter. I just can't imagine anybody from Detroit not knowing the Illich family. They own the Detroit Red Wings hockey team. They own the Detroit Tigers baseball team. They are legends in the city, have invested millions and millions and millions of dollars in revitalizing the city. Unfortunately, Mike Illich passed away a few years back, but this is beautiful wife Miriam, and we literally sat at the table right next to her. And she was so nice to us. Me and Pete both got to go up and meet her, and just so very approachable. And now I got to tell you, for me, it was kind of a trip meeting her because the lady and the family is loaded, y'all. They got big bucks. So, Dean, I don't mean to have been ignoring you, but like I said, I've been trying to shotgun through all this because we got a lot to get through. And we're making good progress. We're moving right along here. But just out of curiosity, when we were kids, Dean, you and I kind of in the same age group, to think of meeting a millionaire someday seemed like, oh my God, unheard of. But in today's times, 2023, millionaires, they come a dime a dozen, like all them players I just showed, man, they're all millionaires, for God's sake. I got millionaires in the family, it ain't no big deal. But have you ever met a billionaire? This was my first time. Now,
Can't say
just
that
out
I
of
have.
curiosity, how much do you think Miriam Illich is worth? Because I looked it up. Take a guess. What do you think?
I wouldn't even know.
I don't know. It may seem tacky to even bring it up, but I looked it up, y'all, and I'm just going to do it anyways. She is worth an estimated $4 billion. And it was just so nice to meet her, y'all. She was so nice to me. And if you know the Illich family story, y'all, they started the Little Caesars pizza chain in the town that I lived in as a younger man, my junior high and high school years of Garden City, Michigan. And so Pete suggested, hey, man, let her know we're from Garden City, or kind of, sort of, however he said it. And so I did. I went up and introduced myself. I said, Miss Ilitch, do you mind if I get a picture? My name's Glenn Victor, and I do a podcast or whatever. And she said, yeah, sure, let's get a picture. And so while we were posing and Pete was about to take the picture, I said to her, yeah, I grew up in Garden City as a kid. And her eyes like perked up. And then she said to me, what was your name again? I told her. So she definitely knew Garden City. But man, so nice to meet Marian Ilitch, the billionaire who owns the Red Wings and the Tigers. And I gotta say, y'all, it was so cool of them to come out and support this event. And then they did a live auction in the room, and the Ilitch Foundation agreed to match dollar for dollar every dollar raised during that live auction, which turned out to be like over $100,000 or whatever. So such a generous family, and Detroit is lucky to have the Ilitch family. That is for sure, in the backyard. So anyway, moving along, y'all. We did end up, after the banquet there in the room that I showed in the video, moving across the hall to what they call the soundboard in the Motor City Casino. And you can see here, that's Doc up at the podium emceeing the thing. And then you've got Holstrom and Lidstrom in the two chairs there in the middle. And then you got the roasters off to the right, which included Chris Draper, Steve Ott, and a couple of comedians and all. And so I thought I'd show y'all a video of the soundboard. This was kind of before everybody else had gotten in there, just to give you an idea. And again, y'all, keep in mind, for this event next year, they'll have different people they're going to roast, but highly encourage you to go check it out, support a good cause, and I guarantee you'll have a great time. So here's the video in the soundboard.
All right, y'all, we out here at the soundboard at the Motor City Casino. We just walked across the hall from the banquet hall where we had the cocktail hour and hors d'oeuvres and the dinner for the roast and toast and the fundraiser for the Jamie Daniels Foundation. And now everybody has made their way over here to the soundboard where the actual roast is going to take place. So there's my boy Pete. What up, Pete? He's over there. Hey, Pete. Say hi to everybody on the podcast.
What's happening?
We just literally came over here. Everybody's still making their way in here right now. So, yeah, that's going to be the roast chair, I'm quite sure. Pretty cool venue, though. For those in Detroit, if you've been here, you already know. Look, I got people up in the rafters, too. Great spot for a concert. And now we're about to watch the roast. It'll be starting soon. Peace. There we go.
All right, y'all. So, yeah, that gives you a good idea of the room where the roast was held. Now, I got to backtrack because, as I mentioned at the top of the show, y'all, and I know Dean's already probably got this figured out. I did not know if I was going to be able to keep track of all this because we literally have 64 slides, 24 video clips. And so there were a couple that I wanted to show before we got to the whole roast and toast, y'all, and I neglected to show them. So we're going to just backtrack a little bit and show these right now. During the banquet, Mr. Daniels, Ken Daniels, did do a speech. And, you know, I didn't want to be tacky and, you know, just be recording the whole event and all. But there were a couple things that he was talking about that I just thought I wanted to get at least a clip of. So, because I was already thinking in terms of the podcast and wanting to do this. So I'm going to show two different clips. One of them's about 1.5 minutes, and the other one's about almost 2 minutes of Ken Daniels talking during the banquet. So let's go ahead and we'll play the first one right here.
Thank you. aren't the greatest announcers always known by just one moniker. In hockey, for Hewitt, it was just Foster. In baseball, it's Vin. And then there's Ernie.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Ernie Harwell was life-changing for one Mike Emmerich, because Ernie was his non-academic advisor for the thesis that Doc was writing and had never been done on play-by-play during his early years at Bowling Green University, and then he got his PhD on that with Ernie advising him in 1976, and that's why Mike Emmerich is known as Doc.
Yeah.
And thank you, Doc, for being on this voyage with us that began in 2019, our first celebrity roast of Mickey Redmond, live in this building. And then due to the pandemic, we followed that up virtually on Valley Sports Detroit with Scotty Bowman and then Brett Hull. And here we are again this year.
So there you go, everyone. That was kind of the intro to his speech and him, you know, giving props and shout out to Doc. And now let's hear a little bit more from Mr. Daniels about some of the great work that they do in the community.
$480,000 to 9 Michigan collegiate and university recovery programs. We have a commitment for $500,000 in the Adolescent Addiction Recovery Center at Children's Hospital of Michigan in Troy, led by Dr. Matt Lacasse. That is what we are doing. That is what your being here tonight is doing, helping us, because the area of prevention, recovery, and reducing the stigma of substance use disorder, or if you like to call it addiction, whatever you want, it continues to need the funding. And that's why we're here tonight. We're here tonight to laugh with a purpose. My son loved to laugh. Jamie's laugh was infectious. Jamie told me at one point, Dad, when I was getting antsy in the summertime, he said, "You're not getting any better at golf," which is why we do a roast and not a golf event. He said, "You're not getting any better at golf, you need a summer job." Well, unfortunately, on December 7th of 2016, Jamie gave me one. But through our loss and our pain, you discover yourself, and you discover our inner voice. And our families, our blended family, we've done that. And with your help, we're doing that tonight. Enjoy the night. Thank you for being here from all of us. Thank you.
Wow, what a classy guy,
Wow.
y'all, and such an inspiration, you know, to, like I said, take a horrible, horrible tragedy, a parent's worst nightmare. Man, I'm trying not to get emotional and filled up, y'all, just, you know, watching him and listening to him. Such an inspiration to take such a horrible tragedy and turn it into something positive that's helping people and clearly, no doubt at all whatsoever, helping save lives. And so, moving along, y'all, as I mentioned, just wanted to backtrack to show those two clips of Mr. Daniels giving his speech at the banquet. We then, of course, made our way across the hall, and as Ken Daniels said, laughing with a purpose at the roast and toast. And man, did them guys really give it to Holstrom and Lidstrom. But they were good sports, you know. I got to tell you, you know, if you've never been to a roast in person, they're a little bit different than watching them on television, you know. But if you've ever seen them on TV, it's basically the same thing. They were just, you know, having good fun, you know, razzing them guys about their, you know, careers and things to that nature. And it truly was a great time, as I've said again, for a great cause. And then when this event concluded, we got to do some more meet and greets because, as I mentioned, one of the roasters was Steve Ott. And there he is. His nickname, of course, is Otter. And Steve Ott was drafted in the NHL just a year before my nephew Jason. And they actually had some playing time together in Utah for an NHL team, the Utah Grizzlies. And Ott is a legend. I mean, he really is. He's actually assistant coach for the St. Louis Blues right now. And so after the roast, I didn't see him at the reception, but I did see him after the roast, went up to him, and he was so nice. And, you know, I talked to him, and, of course, I let him know that Jay was my nephew. And he wanted to send a shout-out to Jason for his wedding as well. So let me go ahead and find Pete once again was being a fantastic photographer and videographer, and he took a video of me filming Steve, sending a shout out to Jay, and then I'll also show the video of his shout out. So let's give these two a look and a listen.
Hey, Kat, congratulations on your wedding. Pleasure to play hockey with you there in Utah back in the day. You've been always a great man, first class. Again, congratulations.
All right, so that was a quick clip, but let's go ahead and now listen to Steve Ott sending a shout out to Jason Bekeshua.
Hey, Cass, congratulations on your wedding. It was a pleasure to play hockey with you there in Utah back in the day. You've been always a great man, first class. Again, congratulations.
All right, you rock, bro. It's Steve Ott. Do I look starstruck? I mean, by that time, y'all, I just so starstruck. I had met so many legends, and they were all just so nice to me and Pete and so approachable. So again, y'all, I wanted to show this, you know, in part just hopefully as an incentive for any of our viewers and listeners to attend this event next year. As we heard Mr. Daniels say, I believe this was the 5th one. They had done it 4 times previous. I think I got that right. So in any case, for a great cause, and there's that boy Otter. And so just to recap, y'all, we're going to kind of move on from this event. It was for the Jamie Daniels Foundation, and you can see there I screenshotted some stuff from their webpage. You know, and as it says, one life lost is one life too many. And so there was all the details about the event. And to my friend Pete, again, I can't thank you enough, Pete, for telling me about this event. It was just so bizarre to me how it all came together. It was almost like it was meant to be that this event took place the very next day after my nephew Jason's wedding. And while I was in Detroit, here I'm doing this podcast all about trying to help people with an opioid addiction or any kind of substance abuse disorder. And on the exact same weekend I'm up there, you know, this event was going on right after Jay's wedding to Chantel and all, and the whole hockey tie-in, and just, I don't know, man, life's crazy, you know. So anyway, shout out one more time to the Jamie Daniels Foundation. Highly encourage y'all again to go to the website, just Google it, Jamie Daniels Foundation, see how you know, they're doing all this great work in the community, and how you might even be able to participate, get involved, volunteer, donate, whatever the case may be, do all the things. So once again, what a great organization. Shout out once again to all the folks at the Jamie Daniels Foundation. So moving along, y'all, we got some video clips. This is just fun stuff, y'all. You know, born and raised in Detroit City. I'm out in Sacramento, California now. I want to be near my daughter, and I love it out here. And I lived in Central Florida, Orlando, for 30 years. But the first 30 years of my life, I lived in Detroit City. And I often say the Detroit Chamber of Commerce ought to pay me a freaking commission because I'm like the biggest cheerleader for that city. I tell people all the time, man, if you ever want to take a vacation to a kind of a different destination, go to Detroit. It is like the coolest place in the world, especially if you're a sports fan. You got, you know, the Red Wings, the Tigers, the Pistons, the Lions, who were all hoping. Who would have thought that with all the rebuilding going on in Detroit, that the Lions would be the best team in the city right now, but it appears to be the case. In any case, of course, the Great Lakes are there. Some people don't realize this. There's more coastline in the state of Michigan than there is in the state of Florida with the Great Lakes there. I moved away simply because I can't stand cold weather, but I have all kinds of family there, 4 sisters, a brother. They all got kids. Some of them got kids. I go back and visit 2-3 times a year, all these years since I moved away. I love Detroit. Who knows? Oler might end up back there one day, but I'd like to maybe be a snowbird. I've always loved the summers in Detroit. It's nice up there, kind of like from May through the end of September, but the rest of the year, the weather can be pretty chilly. And of course, in January, February, and March, it's brutal with the cold and all. But with all that said, y'all, I am a big cheerleader of Detroit, and I just thought it'd be fun to show you some footage of the cool spots in Detroit. And again, shout out to that boy Pete, man. After the Jamie Daniels Foundation event, Pete was so kind to drive around downtown and help me get a lot of video footage to show on the podcast, just to give you all a feel and a taste for the city of Detroit. So we're going to show a bunch of clips right in a row here, trying to find the first one. Okay, this is outside the Motor City Casino where the Jamie Daniels Foundation event took place. So let's go ahead and give that one a look and a listen, and we'll go on from there.
All right, y'all, we are in downtown Detroit City, and that is the Motor City Casino where we just attended the Jamie Daniels Foundation roast and toast for Red Wing legends Nick Lidstrom and Thomas Holstrom. We met all the legendary hockey players and celebs, and man, it was just such a great time. So anyway, and there's downtown, part of downtown Detroit off there in the distance there. We're getting ready to go down to Greektown, have a bite and do some catching up, and I'll get some more footage down there, but just thought I'd show this, kind of cool. And we're just kind of here in the area right now, but wanted to show this, y'all. There you go. Peace.
All right, so there you go, y'all, and we're going to get to that in just a little bit. So let's go to our next video. This is near Comerica Park, where the Red Wings play.
All right, y'all, we are in downtown Detroit City. There's Comerica Park. That is where the Detroit Tigers baseball team plays. And I'm just getting a little bit of footage here, y'all. This is like, you can't get much more in the center of the sports and arts district. That's the legendary Fox Theater. Oh my God, I've seen more shows there than I can even tell you. There is the legendary Fillmore, the Detroit Fillmore. I'll be going to the San Francisco Fillmore real soon to see that girl Mallrat from Australia. There's the headquarters, the world headquarters of Little Caesars. Of course, the Ilitch family owns the Detroit Tigers and the Detroit Red Wings. And speaking of the Detroit Red Wings, they play right down there at the Little Caesars Arena. And I don't know if you can see that Red Wing logo up top of it, and here that traffic sign was a little bit in the way, but yeah, Little Caesars Arena. They also have lots of concerts there. It's a huge and very cool arena. And then again, you can tell, just lots of activity around here. And Ford Field is actually right next to Comerica Park. You can't get the best view of it from here, but it's right there on the other side of the baseball stadium, and that's, of course, where the Detroit Lions play. We'll go by and see if we get some footage of that. All right, peace.
All right, y'all. Excuse me. So yeah, when that video started, I said where the Red Wings play because I'm just on this hockey thing, but I meant to say where the Detroit Tigers play, and of course clarified it in the video. So anyway. You get the idea, man. Detroit is happening, as you could see. Lots of activity and all that. By the way, we got a video coming up real soon of an interview we did with a guy that works at Mom's Spaghetti, Eminem's restaurant. So that's coming up in just a couple minutes. Hang tough for that, y'all. But right now, we're going to show this next video clip. And as some of y'all know, if you're a baseball or sports fan, Miguel Cabrera is a legend in Detroit baseball. And man, I notice in these videos, I get tired of hearing my own damn voice sometimes. I keep starting them off with, hey, y'all, and then I keep using the word legendary, legendary, but there's so much rich history in the city of Detroit. It truly is legendary in a lot of ways. So anyway, let's watch this little clip, which starts off with a shot of the legend Miguel Cabrera.
All right, y'all, for all my fellow baseball fans, here we are in downtown Detroit City in front of the legendary Hockey Town Cafe, home of the Detroit Red Wings. Is just a block away at the LCA, Little Caesars Arena. But yeah, for all my baseball fans, the legendary Miguel Cabrera, Miggy, in his last farewell season. And so we're just getting some footage from downtown Detroit City, man, my hometown. Oh, there's Ford Field off in the distance. I was getting some footage of Comerica where the Tigers play earlier, and we couldn't quite see it. But there is the football stadium. At least you can see the signs for it. Where the Detroit Lions play. We're going to see if we can drive around and give you all a better view of it. But man, this is the center of it downtown. Yeah, you got the baseball stadium right there, the football stadium right there. That's where the Red Wings and the Pistons play, right there at the Little Caesars Arena. And you got the legendary Fox Theater right there. That's been around for decades. It's so beautiful inside of there, man. God, so many big names played there over the years. And I've been to more shows in there than I can remember. The Fillmore down the street again. We're going to try to go up to Mom's Spaghetti and show you that little place. It ain't much to see, but anyway. All right, y'all. Gotta run.
Okay, so there you go, y'all. A little more footage of downtown. Now, Dean, I know that video I took and interviewed the guy at the Mom's Spaghetti restaurant was probably the longest video of all the clips that I took. Are we able to show that one yet, or is that still rendering?
You just have to tell me to play it.
Let's go ahead and play it right now. So this is a really interesting video, y'all. If you know, I'm sorry, Dean, I told you to play it, but I'm running my mouth still. Eminem, the rapper, you know, born and raised in Detroit, recovering addict.
All right, y'all. There's.
Hold on,
that's okay.
I lost you a little bit, but
no,
you're going to be able to play. You're going to be able to talk through this if you want. But
well, no, I was just introing the video, but it speaks for itself, bro. So let's just go ahead and let it ride, and we'll talk about it later.
All right, y'all. There's the legendary Fillmore in Detroit. Look at that. They got a red carpet event going on in here tonight. And I just wanted to come by to show y'all what's right next to it. Eminem's Mom's Spaghetti. It ain't much to see, y'all, but that is it. And this is where you come and order your spaghetti. They are closed right now. But, hey, bro. Hey, man, do you mind being on camera? I do a podcast, and I'm visiting Detroit, and I'm just here filming the Mom's Spaghetti place. Are y'all open right now, or are you closed down?
We're open right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I ain't here to order nothing, but yeah, man. So you guys are a big tourist attraction now. Get real busy here during the day.
It depends on, like, it's event based.
Right. Now, does M come by once in a while? I know he was here for the grand opening, but does he ever pop in?
He comes out. He comes by from time to time. All depends who's, like, in town.
Right.
What's going on.
Right.
But his kids come a lot sometimes, too.
Yeah.
Like his one daughter who got married, she had her thing upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
Her reception.
Yeah. Haley.
No, not Haley, the other one. Like, it's,
that's right. Haley ain't married. Yeah.
Haley's married, but Kim's sister's daughter that died. The
Oh,
one he caught his daughter.
right.
The one that got married. Her.
Yeah. What's your name, bro?
I'm Will.
Will, I'm Glenn, man. It's
Nice to
so
meet you.
nice to
Snoop
meet you,
Dogg
bro.
Came, like, a couple weeks back.
Oh, yeah. Snoop Dogg was in town. I saw he posted a picture out here.
Eminem, last time Eminem was here, it was with LL Cool J.
When LL Cool J was playing at the LCA, right?
Yeah. The day before. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very cool. He just popped in, kind of unannounced, like,
he just
hey,
showed
yo.
around, you know, like.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoever is, like, close friends with him in the industry, if they're coming to town to do something, he's going to come through and make sure, like, to show them, like, his little. His little change.
spot. And you know what's so cool about it? I'm gonna wrap up, bro. Is it's not expensive, but I've had it. It's pretty good spaghetti, actually. You know?
It's pretty good.
Hey, Will, thanks again,
Yeah,
bro.
no
You rock,
problem.
man.
It's just like I said, it's just event based, and it depends like what's going on. Like Tigers, we get Tigers people, we get people from the Fillmore, we get people from the Fox.
Yeah. This is awesome.
A lot of people from out of town coming.
Yeah, great spot. And then you can actually go around and eat inside upstairs in that little area.
We actually have everything that you see is for sale, even the chips and stuff.
You
There's
rock.
a trailer upstairs too, if you're missing the trailer.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate you, man. You're cool as hell. Thanks again. All right, y'all. So there you go. It's Mom Spaghetti. Sorry if I felt rushed. I didn't want to hold them people up. They're ordering some Mom Spaghetti. So there you go. This is the spot. So when I ate here before, I came down with that boy G and Awana, and we ate spaghetti up there. It looks like somebody's up there cleaning up. And there's a little small, not real big, but small kind of museum in there where he has some of his memorabilia. And so you can see it's right there on the ground floor of the Little Caesars World Headquarters. And right next to the Fillmore, just in that little alley there. So it ain't like a whole lot to see, but it's kind of a cool little spot, and it ain't real expensive. So anyway, that's that. Thanks, Will. All right, shout out Will from Mom Spaghetti. He was so cool to us, and he would have kept talking. I was kind of feeling bad. We had a couple of people waiting in line there that wanted to order some Mom Spaghetti, and I did have the spaghetti last summer. I went there, as I mentioned in the video, with my son G and my daughter-in-law Wana, and it's like $10. For a pretty decent size, I think almost like a quart-sized container of spaghetti, and I think for like a couple bucks more, you can throw a meatball or two in there, and it gives you some bread. So it's pretty good. Obviously, not a really big place, not real fancy schmancy. We were there late at night. I was surprised they were still open. I didn't think they were still open when I went up to the window, but clearly they were. During the day, it does get crowded. Again, a lot of tourists in town will go there and they'll have a long line and stuff. But we got there at the right time, obviously. So I just thought if you're a viewer of our show, you'd get a kick out of seeing that. Mom Spaghetti, Eminem's restaurant right in Detroit City. And as I said, Marshall Mathers, Eminem, bro, if you ever see this, we'd love to have you on the show, man. Talk about living clean. Dude, born and raised in Detroit. Of course, everyone knows Eminem, man. Such a famous artist and so, inspirational to so many people, living his life clean. And, he's been so open about his struggles with addiction and how he's living clean now. So, I just thought it'd be really cool to show that. And certainly, of course, thought of the tie-in to our show. So anyway, y'all, moving on. We got a couple more videos downtown. We're going to go into this one. Pete, again, was so cool. He was like, bro, we got to get closer to Ford Field for you so you can get some better footage of that stadium. So let's give that one a look and a listen right now. All right, y'all. Once again, we're in downtown Detroit City. That's Ford Field right back there. That's where the Detroit Lions play football. And then you can see, that's the inside of Tiger Stadium, or Comerica Park as they call it, where the Tigers play. So you can see, you got the baseball and the football team right next to each other, and my boy Pete says we're going to drive right down there, so you'll get a better view of Ford Field, where the Lions, who we're all hoping make the playoffs and even more this year, go. We'll see.
All right. And then I'm looking in the notes here. Dean, I don't know if we have video 16 standing by, because in mine it jumps from 15 to 17. It's just another clip of Ford Field. Do you have that one standing by?
I do. Just
All
hold
right,
on
well, let's
one
go ahead and
second.
play that one, because it gives a unique perspective of the baseball and football stadiums and how they're right next to each other.
Okay, y'all. Yeah, I know you can't see that great, but you're looking through this fence. We're here at Comerica Park, where the Detroit Tigers play. There, you can see a little better now that I'm back from being right up on the fence. That's where the Detroit Tigers baseball team plays. And you can see there's the big, oh, look at that. The Tigers sign is going. There you go, y'all. Detroit Tigers baseball stadium. I still call it Tiger Stadium, even though it's not the old Tiger Stadium. It's Comerica Park is what they call it now. That's where the Tigers play. And there's the, big scoreboard and all that. And now I'm going to walk right on down to where the Detroit Lions play, the legendary Ford Field. So you can see in downtown Detroit, this is so cool that they have the Detroit Tigers baseball team stadium literally right next to and across the street from where the Lions play at Ford Field. And the legendary Ilitch family owns the Tigers and the Red Wings. And of course, the legendary Ford family, yeah, that Ford family, Ford Motor Company, owns the Detroit Lions. And so that is Ford Field, where the Detroit Lions play. And of course, they have a lot of concerts in there too. And I saw the Rolling Stones in there. In fact, the Rolling Stones played the Super Bowl at Ford Field when they did the Super Bowl. There's all kinds of cool spots down here. You see, you got this, what they call the Elwood Grill, Bar and Grill right outside. Of course, it's always a party out here on the patio when there's games or concerts or whatnot going on. And so, yeah, man, just thought I'd show y'all those spots. There you go. There's my boy Pete, who's waiting for me. He's being so cool. Let me walk around and get all this footage, y'all. All right, we're going to head to Greektown. There you go. Peace.
All right, y'all. So I just wanted to show y'all. I know this footage is going on in Detroit City, and some of y'all may be thinking, what the hell does this have to do with drug addiction, substance abuse disorder, recovery? It's just part of my story, y'all, and I thought I'd share that with y'all, where your old pal Glenn Victor grew up. Get to know a little bit more about me and that boy, like I just said, Marshall Mathers, who, has been so inspirational to people, living clean and sober. Grew up in that town too, y'all. And so, like I said, when we started all these Detroit videos, the chamber there ought to pay me a commission. I'm such a huge fan of Detroit. And I thought I'd share that with y'all. So then me and Pete start making our way downtown. And this video's got a little humor in it as well. So let's go ahead and give this look and a listen.
All right, y'all, more footage from downtown Detroit City. That is the legendary Detroit Renaissance Center, or RenCen for short, as a lot of us Real ones from Detroit know it as, and so I get some footage. There's the Hollywood Casino, in case you didn't know. Casino gambling has been a thing in Detroit for years. And for all my dope fiend friends who got in trouble, I'm sorry y'all couldn't resist. Standing outside of the 36th District Court building here in downtown Detroit. And of course there's Ford Field over there. We showed some footage of that, and Comerica Park, where the Tigers play right down the street. And again, we're getting ready to head over to Greektown. There's Detroit Music Hall, where tons of great and legendary acts have played. Looks like they got a little something going on over there tonight. People waiting in line. Yeah, man, we're right here at the corner of Madison and, well, and they call it Aretha Franklin Way as well. I forget what fucking, oh, and Brush Street. Yeah, we're on the corner of Brush and Madison, which is also been historically named Aretha Franklin Way. So yeah, there you go. Peace.
Sister Aretha Franklin Way. Yeah, so anyway, I thought that was kind of cool to show y'all. So yeah, me and Pete then made our way down to Detroit's famous Greektown. Check it out.
Okay, y'all, now we are definitely in Greektown, Detroit City, and we are headed to Pegasus to get something to eat. That's the Greektown Casino down there. A lot of cool stuff going on up and down here. This is the legendary Greektown in Detroit City, and it is happening on a Saturday night. It's changed a lot over the years, but definitely still a cool spot, and not just a destination for locals, but a cool tourist destination for people to come visit. So yeah, we're headed into Pegasus, which is a legendary Greek restaurant in Detroit. And there it is. We're getting ready to go in the front door right now. A lot of local celebs eat here. Sports teams, when they're in town, will come here and all that stuff. So there you go.
All right, so yeah, you can tell Greektown is happening. That's probably about a mile or so from the sports and arts district that we were showing, where all the stadiums were and all. And then inside of Pegasus, got a little footage here too.
All right, y'all, we are inside of the Pegasus, and you can see they just keep everything right out in the open here, man. You can see them making the food. How's it going, bro? Hey, how are you today? Good. We're doing a podcast. You don't mind if I put you on there, right? Hey, there you go. Yes, sir. Detroit City, Pegasus. This place, oh my God, the memories in here. I love this spot. Yeah. All right, y'all. Check it out. Oopa.
Yeah, OOPA. And, you know, as I mentioned, the memories in that spot, y'all. And in case you didn't know what OOPA meant, let's watch this next video, and I think you'll figure it out. Check it out. OOPA! There we go. All right. Yeah. Thank you, bro.
From out of state, so it's been a while.
Yeah, I used to come here when I was younger, so we're glad to be here tonight, bro. Cool. Thanks.
All right, so there you go, y'all. Hey, that's all the video footage I have of Detroit City. I was just looking in the comments. I fell a little behind on the comments. Pete said that was a great picture from the stage. He was talking about Miriam Illich, billionaire. Said he loved it. So glad we got together. I'm not sure what this was, dude. I'm pissed you didn't bring back some. Oh, I think he meant to say Saganaki. I think that's what it was. That's what that flaming cheese is, or what have you. But nonetheless, y'all, I know, you know, that was a lot of stuff that maybe necessarily didn't have a lot to do with, you know, our main topic of trying to help people through drug addiction and recovery. Showing all that footage around downtown Detroit. Of course, the Jamie Daniels Foundation speaks for itself. As I've said on this show before, though, we try to be entertaining for everyone and provide good content. And for anybody who may be going through struggles with addiction, maybe you're trying to kick dope. And get off of that shit. When you're going through it, man, I get it. It's like climbing the walls, You're going through all the withdrawal symptoms, the cold sweats, the restless leg. You can't sleep, you can't eat. You're laying in bed just trying to kill time scrolling on your phone. So, hopefully some of the footage we showed, of downtown Detroit was entertaining to you and kept your interest. So, anyway, appreciate y'all riding along with me for that trip back to Detroit City, y'all. Hope to go and visit again soon and maybe do another show from Detroit down the road. But right now, y'all, we're going to transition into the news. Let me find where I'm at in our photos here. There we go. It is time for the opioid crisis in the news, y'all. Thanks, Dean, for bringing that up. And so just this past week, y'all, we're going to zip through these pretty quick. If you've been following, you know that Narcan, which is the antidote for an opioid overdose, is now going to be available for over-the-counter purchase this coming week. And a 2-pack, they say, will retail for right around $44.99. Some experts saying that's a little bit too high. I do kind of think it's on the high end, y'all. And there's been talk that hopefully some of this opioid settlement money, that is, from Purdue Pharma and all the rest, might help to go to fund some of that stuff. And here's another story, saying that, the 2-pack will cost a little less than $50. And here was a story we pulled from the New York Times. Again, just kind of reiterating what we just talked about. This week, y'all, Narcan available for over-the-counter purchase. And again, can't encourage anyone enough, especially if you know you have a family member who may be, struggling with substance abuse disorder, opioids, to have this on standby. And certainly all employers ought to have this stuff available too, in case they have a problem in the workplace. There's some of us think Narcan should become just as available as a fire extinguisher in any public places. There's even stories we've done on this show about it being available in vending machines. So anyway, just want to touch on that a little bit. Just to kind of piggyback off of that, the White House, and again, y'all, not getting political at all here. We don't get into politics on this show. We just thought that, this is such an important story that even the White House jumped in during this past week to announce an additional $450 million in funding to help fight the opioid epidemic. And that was done in conjunction with what's called Overdose Awareness Week. Just this past week, Overdose Awareness Day was on August 31st, and here's another story that we pulled about that. So it was nice to see the Fed jump in and contribute toward that as well. Now, here's a story we pulled from the World Health Organization, y'all. If you think this opioid epidemic is just limited to the United States, you are badly mistaken. We talk a lot on this show, and even in our intro that Dean put together for us, we talk about during the course of this show, we usually go between an hour and a half, 2 hours. We'll probably wrap up in about 10 minutes here for today's show. About 6 to 10 people will die in the United States from an opiate overdose. Well, I'm not going to sit here and read to y'all, but if you look in that last paragraph there, y'all, it talks about how worldwide, roughly 1/3 of the almost 600,000 annual deaths from drug use are caused by overdose, most by an opioid overdose. And this particular story goes on to tell a little bit more about this particular person in Greece who is working to fight the opioid crisis. And it's a story about, an addict in Athens, Greece, struggling with this. And so I did the math, y'all. Worldwide, they're estimating 600,000 people a year dying from a drug overdose. Most of them are opioid overdoses, whatever the hell you want to call it. That comes to 1,643 people a day and 68 an hour. So think about that, man. Just in the hour and a half of today's show. Good God, I'm trying not to get emotional thinking about it, y'all. Just in the hour and a half of today's show, almost 100 people are going to die or have died from an opiate overdose worldwide. It's just insane what's going on. So all the more reason, y'all, shout out to groups like the Jamie Daniels Foundation. And again, you know, I just feel like what we're doing with this podcast, if, as we say, if we can help even one person to maybe seek help, take it a step further, get themselves clean, then it's all worth it, man. You know, 100 freaking people dying by the time we finish this show. It's just insane. Anyway, moving on, y'all. We're going to do a couple shout outs now on a more upbeat note. Shout out to that boy, Stephen King. Yes, everybody knows Stephen King, but not everybody knows he lives clean and sober. And so I pulled this off the internet, took a screenshot. Just celebrated 33 years not long ago, clean and sober. And I kind of got a kick out of this quote because it certainly could relate. He says, I was never the guy who said, let's have a gin and tonic before dinner. I'd have to have like 12 gin and tonics and then have to say, fuck dinner and have 12 more. And so, you know, it ain't for everybody, but for some folks like myself, man, it's like once you put that shit in your body, you know, there's just no telling where it'll end and if it'll ever stop. And so, Stephen King, shout out to you on 33 years, y'all. Okay, so I mentioned this earlier in the show. We want to do a shout out to our old friend from Orlando, Florida. There he is, Mr. Jim Payne, news anchor for WESH television in Orlando. Here, let's go back to that one for a second because I want to talk about this for just a second. Jim is an old friend, and Dean, you remember we worked with Jim for many years. He was a guest presenter at that awards banquet that I was kind of the go-to guy on organizing for, God, what did I do that thing for like 25 years. And Jim was a guest presenter for about 10 of those years for us for the Jefferson Award. And you can see there's a picture of him and I together. It was always kind of weird because we did, videos of the awards banquet, and I'd go around and interview all the people. And it was just kind of weird, me interviewing the news anchor and reporter instead of them interviewing me for a change like they did in my PR role. But I showed this picture on the podcast before, Dean. You may remember, if you look closely at my face, I remember this day specifically. I was half dope sick and half high as a kite. Look at Jim's eyes and look at my eyes. I remember that day I had run out of what we call the good pills. I didn't have any of, the Oxys or the Perks or the Vikes or whatever. But I managed to get my hands on some morphine pills, which is a whole nother story, dangerous as hell. But they don't give you that euphoric feeling. They do help take away the dope sickness if you don't have any opiates in your system. And so I really had to power through that event, force a smile on my face. And, when you're putting that shit in your body, man, it definitely affects your appearance. And, you can tell just by looking at my eyes. Something ain't right. I often wonder, man, did people not pick up on that? I mean, look at my eyes now. You're on the podcast, and look at them in that picture, man. But any case, y'all, getting a little off topic, shout out to Jim Payne after, I believe he said, a 47-year career in broadcasting, and he signed off on Friday. And, just a quick story, y'all. When I was kicking dope, and I was, driving back to Orlando after spending 4 months up in Michigan getting clean. On my way back, I stayed in Tennessee for a night, and I got up the next day, and I don't know why, but for some reason I thought about Jim. And I think it had to do with this story. If you follow Jim Payne's story in Orlando, he has a son, Jim Jr., who was very open about his struggles with addiction. And Jim Payne did a documentary on it that we're going to talk about and show on a future episode of this show, maybe even next week. I just watched it again, actually, last night. And I think that's why I thought of Jim, because it certainly was an inspiration to me to get clean again, because when you see stories like that and you're out there fucking up like I was and struggling with addiction and substance abuse disorder, and you see stories like this of someone turning their life around, kind of sort of plants that seed. You just never know when something you do or say is going to plant that seed that could be an inspiration for someone to get clean, maybe not right then, but down the road. It's one of the things we even hope with this podcast. And I thought about it, and certainly that was the case for me with Jim and his son being so open about their story, and Jim being so supportive of his son. And anyway, I texted Jim. He was one of the only people from my business life and my career, that I confided in that I was struggling with addiction. And at that time, I did have a few months clean again. And sure enough, Jim replied back to me. This was, again, going back 2.5 years ago, y'all. And I hadn't seen him for a while because I had, retired, since we had worked together. And he got back to me with, words of encouragement and all. And so anyway, I texted Jim again on Friday, not long before he did his last newscast, just congratulating him on a long career and whatnot. And sure enough, man, after the show, he replied to me and wished me well in my adventures of living clean and sober. And actually, he's moving out to be near his son. He's shared this openly on the news, so I'm not breaking his confidence or anything. But he's moving out to Las Vegas, where his son lives now, to be close, to him. And man, he texted me, "Hey, if you're ever in Vegas," so you never know. Me and Jim might meet up again. Maybe we'll have him on the show someday. That'd be wonderful, But shout out to Jim Payne. As I posted on my social media, man, one of the real ones, and even had a couple people chime in on that post saying, yeah, Jim's one of the last real true journalists that really gets it, and nothing against, other news reporters and all, not trying to be negative toward anyone else. What I will say is Jim truly was a real one, and I worked with a lot of them in my career, both in Detroit and Orlando. And it was just such a pleasure working with him over the years. And again, just want to say thank you so much to Jim Payne and his son for being so open about his son's struggles with addiction. I was thinking to myself, what an interesting contrast, poor Ken Daniels losing his son, Jamie, to addiction, and then here Jim Payne's son managed to turn it around and is living clean and sober. It just goes to show, man, you just never know, it could have went either way for either one of them. And, it turned out the way it did. And man, even with my story, y'all, if you know my story, and if you haven't, you can go back and watch some of the other 24 episodes we did where I go into great detail about it. I do truly feel like I'm living on borrowed time, and I'm so grateful that I survived that addiction to tell my story and hopefully be an inspiration to other people the way Jim and his son are. So anyway, shout out again to Jim Payne. Congratulations on your retirement. Hope to cross paths with you again not too far down the road. So moving on, y'all, to music news. Of course, some sad news. The legend Jimmy Buffett passed away a couple of days ago. And man, who doesn't know Jimmy Buffett? Margaritaville, 5 o'clock somewhere, all that stuff. And man, do I have memories from spending time down in the Keys and Key West. I even posted something about it, man, doing the Duval crawl, during my, drinking days and all that. And man, it just goes to show, enjoy the moments. Jimmy Buffett, all the money in the world, but doesn't mean a thing if you don't have your health. And he was struggling with some health issues and passed away a couple days ago at 76 years old. But thank God we have his music that'll live on forever.
Yeah, it seems like he died of skin cancer.
I know he had some.
Yeah, they just CBS News released it like just today.
Okay,
So,
is that what it
yeah.
was? I didn't know what it was, but I knew he had a health challenge. And I mean, being from the Keys and all, I guess, kind of makes sense and all. God, it scares the hell out of me. People been telling me to stay out of the sun since I was a kid, and this ain't gonna happen, y'all. Hope that doesn't creep up on me one day. But anyway, R.I.P. to Jimmy Buffett. And then on another more positive note, when it comes to music, how about them boys from the Rolling Stones? Mick, Keith, and Ronnie are putting out a new album, and they've been teasing the shit out of it for the last week or so. And one thing I love about the Stones, man, they always come up with these unique marketing ideas when they're rolling out new music. And they ran this small ad in this little paper over in the UK. And you can see the name of the album is Hackney Diamonds. And they had this little ad that said, our friendly team promises satisfaction when you say, gimme shelter, we'll fix your shattered windows. And man, the cool artwork there, too. Isn't that cool as hell? So anyway, then, if you remember, man, back in the day, the Stones literally drove down the streets of New York City on a flatbed truck playing music, when they rolled out an album. And so this time around, they've done some really cool videos, and I've got just a few of them. They're not very long at all, but let's go ahead and play them. This is the new Stones album coming out in just 3 days, Hackney Diamonds, y'all. That one's cool as hell. Here's another one. Now that video, if you listen real closely, it's so cool what they did. You can hear almost this echo from down in the subway of the first single off the album called Don't Get Angry With Me. And you can just hear it subtly in the background. So anyway, there's a couple more. Check this one out here, y'all. Let me just do this one. And then we got one more. Check this out. And you can actually hear Don't Get Angry With Me just slightly in the background of this one, too. So, yeah, you can just barely hear it. But nonetheless, they have released actually probably about I don't know, maybe 20-second clip from that song. I didn't want to play it on the podcast because I didn't want us to get dinged for copyright or whatever the hell. But they're putting stuff out there all the time. If you follow Mick, Keith, Ronnie, the Stones, whatever on social media, you'll see all the things. But I couldn't resist talking about it because they are, in fact, my favorite music artists, the Rolling Stones. I've seen them like 10 times and all over the country, in St. Louis, Detroit, Orlando, Tampa, all the things. And I definitely will go see them again. Shout out to my sister T, my Stones buddy, if they come again on tour, which Keith is indicating they will if their health holds out. Hope we can go see him again. Now we're going to transition into some funny memes, y'all, and then we're going to wrap this show up and bring it full circle. I thought this was the perfect one. Just trying to have a sense of humor about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Mick Jagger is fucking 80. And if you didn't know, Mitch McConnell, not to make fun of Mitch McConnell, God bless him, hope he's okay, but, the politician, this past week, he froze up at the podium twice for these speeches, and he's like 81. And so I thought this was a great meme. The benefits of a life of sex, drugs, rock and roll should not be ignored, because look at Mick looking cool as hell at 80 years old, man. If that's 80, I say bring that shit on. If I can look as cool as he does and be as spry and active as Mick Jagger at 80, fucking bring it on, man, anytime. So anyway, I thought that one was kind of cool and certainly tied into what we just did about the Stones' new album coming out in just a few days. Then I thought we'd show this funny meme, warning unattended children will be given an energy drink and taught to swear. That was me when I was a kid, and that's my excuse for having such a potty mouth. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I was the youngest of 6. I didn't get attended to very often, and I started drinking coffee at a real young age and heard my share of swearing. I'll tell you that, without going into too much detail about that. So I thought that was a perfect transition into this next funny meme. I started a swear jar yesterday, and you can see all those jugs of change for all the swear words. But hey, y'all, we do try to keep it real on this podcast. You know, we try not to get, too nasty, but we try to keep it at the level of people who may be struggling with an addiction. You know, I don't ordinarily hold any punches when it comes to the things that are discussed. And so, yeah, we drop some F-bombs here and there and some curse words here and there, but, you know, we try to keep it tactful at least. So, you know, we talked about maybe starting a swear jar a while back, and that kind of fell to the wayside. So maybe we will. Maybe we'll start a swear jar and make donations and send it to, you know, one of these groups like maybe the Jamie Daniels Foundation. You get the idea. But anyhow, moving along, y'all. Just wanted to let everyone know I'm growing through a lot right now, and I thought this was perfect because, oh man, did we go through a lot on this show today. We just burned through it. We just shotgunned through 64 slides and 24 videos, y'all, and so I thought this was kind of funny, going through a lot right now, the parking lot, and then finally, because we are done, boom! Mic drop, y'all. We did it. We did it. Dean, thank you so much, man. I'm going to look at the timer. Okay, well, I was hoping to wrap it up in an hour and a half. We went about 20 minutes long, but hey, it was a great show. Thank you so much, Dean. Again, you're a rock star behind the scenes, bro. I know I overloaded you with a shit ton of stuff today, but our 25th episode of the Dare Me podcast is now in the can, y'all. We're going to post the recorded version, and then all 25 of them will be there forever and ever and ever out there on all the platforms. My personal favorite is the Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel. I'm a little behind on getting all of them posted. You can see every episode on that page. Just click the live button. They're all there. But I try to clean them up and take the counter off the beginning and put them in the videos tab. And we're almost completely up to date with that, y'all. So anyhow, with all that said, going to work on wrapping it up now. Want to thank y'all for riding with us for 25 episodes of the Dare Me podcast. We're halfway through our goal to getting one full year of these in the can. 6 months more to go. Dean, I just got to ask, man, does it seem like 25 episodes to you?
All in one night tonight? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm just messing with you. No, it's moved right along. I you know, it's kind of like a whiplash. I just kind of like, whoa, that just went by.
Yeah, I know, my God, and all the great guests we've had. Shout out to all the guests. Thank you so much, y'all, for participating in and supporting this podcast and show. We got some other really cool and great guests that we're planning to have on and hoping to have on in the coming months, y'all. So with all that said, if you are a person struggling with substance abuse disorder, an addiction of any kind, we hope that we could be and have been some kind of inspiration to you. We want to, again, thank everyone for supporting this program for the past 6 months and the past 25 episodes now. As we often say on this show, if you're struggling with addiction, if you're going through hell, just keep fucking going. If I can get through it, you can get through it too. And with all that said, Dean, thank you again for everything you do to keep this show going, bro. Can't thank you enough. And everyone, I hope you have a safe week. Thank you again for your support of the program, and we'll see you next time on the Dare Me podcast.
Good night, everyone.